Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Acupuncture's My Life. Now, in this episode, I want to jump back into the various signs that you're drinking too much coffee due to the overwhelming amount of messages in which I'd received over the Acupuncture's My Life app. And if you don't already have the app, download it. It's free at your app store. If you ever listen to an episode and you have questions or even comments, you can communicate with Acupuncture's My Life via the app, as well as read blogs on how you can benefit from acupuncture relative to certain disorders or diseases. You can access all social media platforms via the app and much, much more. But I want to jump into or back into signs that you're drinking too much coffee and you may need to consider stopping. And the majority of the responses, messages that were received over the app were more tailored toward they don't plan on stopping, or it's too difficult to stop, and the symptoms in which they experience, and how they need their pick-me-up. And that's another issue. Why? Because coffee is a stimulant, and when you don't have it, your production, workflow is negatively impacted as a result. And you'll find yourself becoming lazier and depending more and more on coffee to get you going. And in some cases, that can cost you your job. What if you're in an environment where there is no coffee, or you're moved to an environment where you don't have the ready access to a cup of coffee? What happens then? What do you do? How do you survive? How much is it on your mind at that point to affect your job, your work performance? It can actually cost you your job. How much has production fallen off? You can be moved to a new area where there's no access to coffee, or meaning within your office building, or to a new location where there isn't somewhere where you can just readily run outside and buy a cup of coffee. What's going to happen then? Why put yourself in that situation, which is not good? Coffee can also, what's a good word for it? It can make you feel really like you're bouncing off walls. You're real, reactive, overreactive. You're jumpy because of its ability to boost a person's sense of alertness. Why? Because the caffeine that's in coffee increases adrenaline levels. And it affects everyone different. But when it gets to that point, you'll begin to notice that you have these jittery sensations. You feel jumpy. There are cases of jitters and tremors. And this comes from drinking too much coffee. And too much of anything is no good. Now, it can also start out as good, and then you overdo it, where now it's bad. So keep that in the back of your head. And coffee can also trigger muscle spasms. by causing muscles in the body to twitch due to coffee. Because caffeine's effect on the nervous system, it affects the nervous system in a way where it controls the contraction of skeletal muscles through nerve cells. And when you're drinking a lot of coffee, it can trigger involuntary spasms of muscle fibers anywhere in the body. It can also, coffee can also dehydrate you as well. But that's another discussion, and tying that into muscle spasms. It can cause diarrhea because it has this super laxative effect. And the saddest part is the body becomes conditioned in a way where, let's say you stop, then all of a sudden it's constipation. And there's been many intakes where I was able to pick that up. And there are individuals out there that are unable to tie it to coffee, and there are some that do. There are some that say, I don't want to take, any of these tablets to get me to go to the bathroom. So I'd rather just drink coffee. Well, you're using something to get you to go. And this is why it's good to see an acupuncturist. Because if you're suffering from constipation, or even diarrhea for that matter, but let's just say constipation because you can't go unless you've had a cup of coffee, you need to see an acupuncturist right away. These things are important. And this is why I constantly say, along with seeing a physician on an annual basis, regular visits to your acupuncturist, you're not going to worry about this. You're not going to be concerned with an addiction to coffee and the after effects or the withdrawal symptoms. But relying on coffee to move your bowels, it's the same as taking any other stimulant to get you to move your bowels. Now, here's something that many individuals are unaware of, that coffee can cause iron deficiency. Why? Because it has the ability to interfere with the body's absorption of iron. And especially if you're anemic, you want to avoid drinking coffee. Because now having less oxygen in your blood to reach the body cells, voila, fatigue, pale skin, weakness, and so forth. Put the coffee down for a couple of weeks, especially if you're anemic, and then tell me how you feel. You have to understand health is wealth. The wealth is definitely not in an app on your phone or in the stock market. It's not in the bank or a safe. It's not in your purse or in your pocket or in the shoebox in the closet or under the doghouse in the backyard or even under the mattress. The wealth is in you. And it's about how you take care of yourself. It's about seeing an acupuncturist on a regular basis. And guess what else coffee can do? You know that waste around the gut area, the weight building up around the waist, the gut area. Mm-hmm. Yep. drinking too much coffee is tied to metabolic syndrome, and which is basically high blood sugar, high blood pressure, high belly fat, high cholesterol levels. Okay? And coffee can allow for the accumulation of fat in the cells. But I want you to sit with an acupuncturist to discuss that. You can even sit with a physician to talk about that. You can also develop, let's say, insulin resistance. Because coffee can lower, drinking coffee, especially a lot of it, can lower insulin sensitivity, which therefore can lead to high blood sugar. So if you're diabetic, you've been diagnosed with diabetes, yeah, you should really consider staying away from coffee. You know what? If you're operating a vehicle right now, do me a favor and pull it over to the side of the road. And if you're crossing the street, I want you to hurry up and safely get across the street. And if you're carrying or lifting something heavy, take a moment and rest it down. I need you in a relaxed state right now. Why? Because I need you to close your eyes. And I need you to say to yourself, acupuncture is my life. And now open them. Boom. You are now brand new. And brand new you are. And I have a question for you. You ever drink a lot of coffee or just drink coffee and sometimes have a tendency to feel nauseous? And I get that a lot. As a doctor of acupuncture, patients don't understand. Individuals will not understand why they feel nauseous periodically. And sometimes it's like, how much coffee do you drink per day? And then boom. Why? Because the caffeine that's in the coffee can increase the production of stomach acid, which in turn can lead to nausea, stomach pain, heartburn. And then guess what? Nausea can serve as a withdrawal symptom too when you're trying to give up coffee. Okay? That's because the body is struggling with this sudden change of not getting this drug turned caffeine on a regular basis. So it's important that you're aware of this. You ever, sometimes as a result of drinking coffee, you feel as if, you want to faint. Coffee can cause hypokalemia, which is a low level of potassium in your bloodstream. Now, understand something. Potassium is responsible as an electrolyte for carrying signals to the nerves and muscles in your body. And when your potassium count is low, you can experience weakness, fatigue, and drinking coffee every day can bring this about. Another sign is you can even find yourself sweating a lot, which is hyperhidrosis. And that has everything to do with sensitivity levels to caffeine, because caffeine's a stimulant. Again, it triggers a person's nervous system and accelerates thermogenesis. And that's it's the process of the body producing heat. So your internal body temperature would exceed a certain point and it'll cause you to sweat. I have to advocate. A cup of black tea, maybe a cinnamon stick if you want to sweeten it, and a teaspoon of organic honey. You're good. Try that, and then take a couple of days off from drinking that cup of black tea with honey. You're not going to face these withdrawal symptoms. And when you're on it, the likelihood of you experiencing the symptoms I discussed in this episode as well as the last would probably not appear, and if it does, it's more than likely not related, and it's best that you see an acupuncturist right away. I mean, it's very easy to become addicted to coffee, drinking coffee. It is. It's a drug. Caffeine is a drug. And we're led to understand that, it's good for you. Yeah, it's good. It's not. It's harmless. Sit with an acupuncturist and discuss your coffee drinking habits. See what the outcome of that would be. But the main thing is sitting with an acupuncturist and making acupuncture part of your life. Because acupuncture is my life. What's yours?